Hello, my name is Taylor. I am the creator of Plamondon Comics, which are a lot of different comics, and I will link down below where you can read them. This isn't about me for once. This today is about Dave Catman, formerly known as Dave Mercer, or if you like to pretend that you can speak French like I do, Dave Mercier. So Dave is a primarily webcomic artist who has been in the scene for over a decade. He currently resides in Los Angeles with his wife and two cats, living the millennial dream, and has produced a autobiographical series, well, semi-autobiographical, sort of silly series called Mercworks, which kind of paved the way for him, I would say, as well as Hop Dude, which we will talk about today, The Legend of Belba, and is currently working on a series that he co-created with Shen, the god of comics, as we all know, called Live With Yourself. And I will link all of that below. But let's talk a little bit about Dave himself. Dave is more than an artist I look up to. He is also someone I would call a friend. One time I asked Dave why he created comics. And he told me something very profound. He said, because I can't do anything else. And I would have to see how Dave does auditing or managing a chain restaurant to know if he truly cannot do anything else but make comics. But I would have to disagree with Dave there. I would say, no, I'm not Dave himself, but I feel that Dave creates art in general because he feels really deeply. He thinks very deeply, and he wants to explore, and he wants to influence and inspire people. And you can see that through all of his works. But let's talk about Hop Dude specifically. Hop Dude is a parody of the popular Nintendo game Mario, if you couldn't tell. It initially started as a web series that was just 3 panels and always or almost always had the punchline of Mamma Mia at the end. It starts off very silly, but over time, story plot starts to emerge and the characters start to develop some complexity to them, which I found really intriguing, especially based on the fact that it was within 3 panels at a time, if that makes sense. The story was flowing 3 panels at a time, which was really intriguing and impressive to me as someone who personally I couldn't see myself being able to do that. The way that Dave compiled this into a book was very clever, and it was very well done. It didn't feel choppy to read. In fact, it was quite pleasant to read within the 3 panel sequences. Maybe it's because my brain is fried from the extensive internet usage, but nonetheless I enjoyed it. Now, the quality of the book itself, it's a hardcover and it has semi-glossy pages. The quality is excellent. I was really shocked. Like, it's nicer than some of the books that I've bought from, Chapters, or if you are American, Barnes and Noble or whatever. And the colors, which were done by Sam Kehoe? I'm so sorry, Sam. I apologize. But your colors were beautiful. They emulated the cheery color palette of the original Mario, and led credence to the story and the plot and everything. It was just very well done. It was bright, but it wasn't obnoxious. So excellent job in that sense. And the line work and the drawings themselves are quite crude and simplistic, but I found that to be purposeful. It was almost a little bit cheeky towards the original content, in my opinion. And knowing Dave, he very well could have done that as a little bit of a lighthearted jab at the original itself, to be a little bit of a little imp about it. But that said, just because it's simple doesn't mean that it was done poorly or that it wasn't impressive, because as a lot of artists know, sometimes simplicity is the hardest thing to do. Sometimes you can hide behind a lot of cross-hatching and stippling and hyper-realism, but to really strip things down to their bare bones, sometimes that takes a lot of guts, and I think that is the case here. It was done really well. The compositions were thought out. The details that were put in there were purposeful. Now, without going into spoiler territory, which I will not be doing, The story of Hop Dude, in its simplest form, is a little Italian fella named Hop Dude who is obsessed with spaghetti and loves to say Mamma Mia. And his brother, they find an orphaned baby, which they name Pasta. And at first, it just kind of chronicles just the silly shenanigans of Hop Dude and his friends and family, just kind of getting on through life. But midway through-ish, my Canadian came out of me, Pasta gets kidnapped. And then, I almost said Mario, Hop Dude and his friends have to go on a quest to find Pasta and, get him back. But toward the third act, things start to kind of unravel and then reveal a more meta concept behind everything, which, to be fair and to be frank, can be a little tiring. It's not as avant-garde as it used to be, but I still found it very intriguing, and the fact that Dave went so hard on it sold it for me. Speaking as just a reviewer, not as Dave's friend, I thought it was done well, and it led credence to the underlying concepts very well. And so by the end of the story, you're left pondering life, you're left pondering reality, your existence, the purpose of life. But it's not snarky, it's not nihilistic in its entirety, and it's not mean-spirited. You still feel refreshed by the end of the novel. And if you do still have a little lingering, I just was forced to recognize my own mortality, there are 3 little standalone stories at the end of the novel that you can read and enjoy. And these are little mystery noirs, which really highlight Dave's comedic and writing abilities, and his abilities to sort of shape-shift into different styles a little bit, which I really enjoyed. I particularly liked the last story, which starred Leonardo DiCaprio. In summation, I've been a fan of Dave's work for several years now, but I primarily read his Merc work stories, which are unfortunately discontinued, but you gotta move on when you gotta move on, so respect. But I didn't follow Hop Dude as closely, and so when I purchased Hop Dude and I read it, I was really astounded by the writing quality and by Dave's ability to weave a story and to expound upon a simple idea and make it into such a harrowing almost experience in some ways, and also a very refreshing one at the same time. And I found myself, while I was reading Hop Dude, experiencing it in 2 ways at the same time. And one way, I was literally reading it, so I was reading about a little Italian fella going on a quest. And then in another way, I was reading it metaphorically, and I was seeing a man working through what life is, what makes it important, and what makes him an individual. And so I couldn't help but see Dave through the whole story, which he's not in it at all. To me, as the most narcissistic comic artist ever, that's a huge compliment. Because for me, my hope is to express how I feel and how I see the world through my work. And to me, I think Dave did that excellently. And I think that's what really took me aback, that really stunned me when I was reading it. I was like, wow. It does help that I know Dave as a person, as I've bragged before in this video, but I was really like, wow, this is Dave. Like, this is him working through something, and this is so raw and honest. And I really, as my therapist has pointed out, really value integrity. So yes, if you were intrigued by this review and you would like to purchase this book, I will put the link below, as well as all the other ways that you can read Dave's work. Like I said, he's currently working on Live With Yourself, which is on Webtoon. And to make this about me a little bit, because we've been talking way too much about Dave, I did guest write a couple times on Live With Yourself, so check that out. I hope you found this useful. I would really like to know what you think of Hop Dude below. So if you've already read it, tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you think about my review. Did I miss anything? It's kind of vague, so I know I missed a lot, but did I miss any other concepts or anything like that? And then if you read it, come back and comment below as well. Let's have a discussion. That's my favorite thing to do on the internet, It is why I am enslaved to it. But just lastly, I would just like to thank Dave Catman for all of his hard work that he's put into his art. I know as artists, sometimes we feel like all we're doing is thinking about ourselves and we're trying to capitalize on our own self-obsession, you know. But I found so much value in your work, and I really, like I said, appreciate your integrity to your values and in the way that you reflect them in your artwork. And the fact that you have journeyed through a decade on this godforsaken internet with so many changes that have come, and you still manage to make such fresh and relevant work. You are my comic dad. You are my comic dad. Yeah, you are. Sorry. Yeah, I just wish you the best, Dave. I wish you all the blessings that a comic artist could ever want, which is to be making just enough money to pay the bills. Thank you guys, everybody else, for watching. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I hope you enjoy Hop Dude, and I hope you stick around for the next review that I do at some point.